There is a version of you that almost no one has ever met. Not your family, not your closest friends, not even the person staring back at you in the mirror. He does not waste his energy explaining himself. He does not chase approval or argue with every opinion thrown his way. He moves with a quiet certainty that makes the loudest people in the room seem strangely powerless. Yet every single day, you move farther away from becoming that man. Not because you are weak, not because you lack discipline, but because the modern world has trained you to reveal everything before it has had the chance to become real. You announce your goals before you earn them. You defend your choices before they are questioned. You spend your strength proving yourself instead of building yourself. Imagine carrying a cup filled to the very edge with water. Every unnecessary argument, every emotional reaction, every explanation given to someone who never intended to understand you spills a little more of that water onto the ground. At first, the loss feels invisible. But years later, when life demands your full strength, you discover the cup that should have been overflowing is almost empty, and you cannot remember where it all went. More than 2,000 years ago, the Stoics discovered a truth that modern life has almost erased from human memory. They understood that silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the place where power is created. While ordinary people fought to be noticed, the wisest men in history disappeared into discipline, allowing their actions to become louder than any words they could have spoken. So before we go any further, ask yourself one uncomfortable question. How much of your life has been spent performing for people who were never going to change their opinion of you? Because if that question unsettles something inside you, then stay with me. What you are about to hear is not another motivational speech. It is a blueprint for reclaiming the part of yourself the world slowly convinced you to give away. There is a price almost nobody realizes they are paying until years have already been stolen from them. It is not measured in money, status, or opportunity. It is measured in every unnecessary explanation you have ever given, every argument you entered hoping to be understood, and every moment you handed someone access to parts of yourself they had never earned. The tragedy is not that people misunderstood you. The tragedy is that you believed they were entitled to understand you in the first place. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, yet the thoughts that shaped his character were never written for applause. He filled the pages of his journal, knowing no audience would ever read them. While the world expected speeches from an emperor, he chose conversations with his own conscience instead. He understood that the strongest part of a man is built in private, long before the world is ever allowed to witness it. Most people live the opposite way. They build their image in public and their character in private, if they build it at all. They explain every decision, defend every choice, and seek approval for every step forward. But every explanation quietly hands another person a map of your fears, your doubts, and the places where your confidence is still fragile. The more you reveal, the easier you become to predict. And a predictable mind is a mind that can be controlled. Ask yourself something that may be difficult to answer honestly. Think about the last time you desperately wanted someone to understand your side of the story. Did their opinion truly change? Or did you simply walk away emotionally exhausted while they remained exactly the same? This is the lesson the Stoics learned centuries ago. Respect is almost never created by explanation. It is created by quiet consistency. Results have a language that arguments will never learn to speak. From this moment forward, begin treating your inner world like a fortress instead of a marketplace. Not everyone deserves access to your struggles. Not everyone deserves your reasons. And not everyone deserves an explanation simply because they demanded one. The more carefully you guard your mind, the stronger it becomes. Because true power is not found in convincing people who you are. It is found in becoming someone who no longer needs to. Epictetus understood this truth long before he became one of history's greatest Stoic teachers. He entered the world as a slave, owned by another man, stripped of nearly every freedom a human being could lose. His body could be controlled. His future could be decided by someone else's command. Yet even in chains he discovered one place no master could ever reach, the quiet kingdom of his own mind. And once he understood that, no one truly owned him again. Think about how different your life would become if you protected your mind with the same discipline. Imagine waking up tomorrow without feeling the need to defend every decision, answer every criticism, or convince people who have already chosen not to understand you. The world would still make noise. People would still judge, but their opinions would stop entering the place where your peace lives. The battle outside would continue, yet the battle inside would finally come to an end. There is a reason the strongest people often appear the calmest. They have learned that every emotional reaction is a negotiation, and every unnecessary explanation is a surrender of leverage. While everyone else rushes to prove themselves, they quietly observe. They listen more than they speak. They let time expose the truth that arguments never could. They understand that silence is not empty. It is filled with control. Musonius Rufus taught his students that a philosopher is not measured by the beauty of his words, but by the quality of his life. Anyone can sound wise for a few minutes. Anyone can win an argument through emotion or clever language. But only a disciplined person can live in such a way that his actions become undeniable evidence of his character. Long after people forget what you said, they will remember how you carried yourself when life gave you every reason to lose control. So from this moment, stop chasing the impossible task of being understood by everyone you meet. Build a life that requires fewer explanations and stronger actions. Let your discipline speak before your mouth ever does, because the people who matter will recognize your character without a speech. And the people who don't were never going to believe your words anyway. Picture the ocean during the worst storm you can imagine. On the surface, the waves rise like mountains, crashing into one another with enough force to destroy ships. Anyone watching from above would believe the entire sea had become chaos. But descend only a little deeper, and everything changes. The water becomes still, silent, untouched by the violence raging above it. The storm never reaches that depth. The Stoics spent their lives building that depth inside themselves. Most people never do. They live only on the surface of their own minds, where every opinion becomes a wave, every insult becomes a hurricane, and every disappointment feels like the end of the world. They spend years trying to calm the storm around them, never realizing that peace was never meant to be found on the surface. It was always waiting in the depths. They were too distracted to explore. Look carefully at the people who are constantly explaining themselves. They defend every decision, justify every mistake, and fight to correct every misunderstanding. Yet somehow they always seem exhausted. The harder they struggle to control what others think, the weaker they become. Because the need to be understood quietly becomes a prison. Every new opinion demands another explanation, and every explanation creates another chain. The Stoics chose a different path. They accepted that people would misunderstand them. They accepted that rumors would spread, criticism would come, and judgments would be made without evidence. But instead of wasting their lives chasing every false opinion, They invested that energy into becoming the kind of people whose character would eventually speak louder than any accusation ever could. Time became their greatest ally because truth never needs to rush. Remember this whenever life tempts you to defend yourself. You cannot stop people from creating stories about you, but you can decide whether you become a prisoner of those stories. The deeper your character becomes, the less power the surface noise will ever have over you. And one day, without saying a single word, you will realize that the strongest victory was never proving them wrong. It was becoming someone their opinions could no longer reach. Every person who has ever tried to provoke you was hoping for one thing above everything else: your reaction. The insult was never the reward. The argument was never the reward. The reward was watching you surrender control of your own mind. The moment your emotions begin dancing to someone else's rhythm, they no longer need to defeat you. You have already handed them the victory they came looking for. Imagine a man standing before a mirror, throwing stones at his own reflection. The mirror cracks, but the man walks away believing he has damaged someone else. That is how most people live. They react to every insult, every rumor, every criticism, believing they are protecting themselves, while the only thing they are truly damaging is their own peace. The person who offended them sleeps peacefully that night, while they replay the conversation 100 times inside their own head. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this lesson almost every day. He wrote that another person's actions belong to them, but your response belongs entirely to you. Between what happens and how you respond exists a space that no one can enter without your permission. That small space is where freedom lives. Lose it, and you become a prisoner of every careless word spoken by strangers. Protect it, and no force on earth can truly control you. Think about the strongest person you have ever known. Chances are it wasn't the loudest voice in the room or the one who always had the perfect comeback. Real strength rarely announces itself. It reveals itself through restraint. It is the person who can remain calm while everyone else is losing control, the one who refuses to exchange peace for the temporary satisfaction of winning an argument that never deserved their attention. The next time someone invites you into conflict, pause before you answer. Ask yourself whether they deserve your attention or whether they are simply asking you to finance their chaos with your peace. Most battles are won long before the first word is spoken, and often the most powerful sentence you will ever say is the one you choose never to speak. There is another habit that quietly destroys more lives than failure ever could. It is the habit of announcing your future before you have earned it. The moment an idea enters your mind, you feel the urge to tell someone. A new goal, a business, a dream, a transformation. You speak about it as if words themselves were progress. For a brief moment, the applause feels like achievement. But when the excitement fades, so does the discipline that was supposed to build the dream. The Stoics warned against this long before the modern world turned attention into a currency. They believed that every unnecessary word spends a portion of your inner strength. A seed does not break through the soil the day it is planted. It grows in darkness, protected from the eyes of the world, until its roots become strong enough to survive the storm. Your ambitions deserve the same protection. The more fragile the beginning, the greater the need for silence. Seneca often reminded his students that a wise person does not rush to display what is still incomplete. Character is forged in private, not on a stage. While ordinary people seek recognition for what they intend to become, disciplined people disappear into the work itself. They understand that admiration earned too early can become a dangerous distraction, replacing the hunger to improve with the comfort of being praised. Look back at the greatest transformations of your own life. The moments that truly changed you were probably the ones no one saw. The mornings you woke up while everyone else was asleep. The difficult decisions made in silence. The sacrifices that never appeared on social media or became the subject of conversation. Your greatest victories were born in places where no applause could reach you. That is not a coincidence. It is the natural law of mastery. So stop announcing your next chapter before you have lived it. Let people underestimate you. Let them believe nothing is changing while you quietly rebuild yourself behind closed doors. Then one day, when your discipline has become impossible to ignore, you will not need to explain what happened. Your results will tell the entire story, and they will speak with a power that words could never match. One of the greatest illusions you will ever face is the belief that everyone deserves access to your mind. They do not. The world celebrates openness without ever asking whether openness is wise. It encourages you to reveal your fears, explain your motives, and expose your deepest struggles to people who have done nothing to earn that privilege. But every time you hand your inner world to the wrong person, you place your peace into hands that were never strong enough to protect it. Imagine a fortress standing on a mountain, built stone by stone over generations. Its gates are not opened because someone knocks loudly. They are opened only after trust has been earned. Now compare that fortress to the average person's mind. The gates swing open for every opinion, every criticism, every stranger's judgment, and every passing trend. It is no surprise that so many people feel mentally exhausted. A fortress cannot protect its kingdom if the gates never remain closed long enough to do their job. Epictetus taught that what belongs to you is not your reputation, your possessions, or the opinions people hold about you. The only thing that is truly yours is your ability to choose your response and govern your own character. Everything else can be taken away in a single moment. But a disciplined mind remains untouched unless its owner willingly abandons it. This is why the Stoics guarded their attention more carefully than kings guarded their treasure, because they knew attention is the foundation upon which every meaningful life is built. Pay attention to the people who constantly demand explanations from you. Very few are genuinely searching for truth. Most are searching for control. The more they understand your fears, the easier it becomes to manipulate your emotions. They learn which words provoke you, which doubts weaken you, and which insecurities can quietly steer your decisions. A wise person recognizes this early and refuses to make his private world available for public inspection. From today onward, become far more selective about who is allowed into your inner life. Let trust be earned instead of freely given. Protect your thoughts until they become convictions. Protect your dreams until they become reality. And protect your peace with the same determination that a king protects his kingdom. Because the strongest mind is not the one that reveals everything. It is the one that knows exactly what must remain unseen. Time has a strange way of exposing what words spend years trying to hide. You can convince people for a while. You can create the perfect image, deliver the perfect explanation, and defend yourself with flawless arguments. But time listens to none of it. It watches only one thing, your actions. And in the end, actions write the only story the world truly believes. History remembers Marcus Aurelius not because he mastered the art of speaking, but because he mastered the far more difficult art of living. Surrounded by war, betrayal, plague, and unimaginable responsibility, he never wasted his strength trying to force the world to admire him. Day after day, he returned to the only battlefield that mattered, his own mind. He knew that a man who governs himself has already accomplished something greater than a man who governs an empire. This is where most people lose their way. They spend years trying to build a reputation before they have built a character. They become obsessed with being respected, admired, and recognized, forgetting that genuine respect cannot be requested, negotiated, or demanded. It grows quietly from thousands of invisible decisions made when no one is watching. Character is never created in the spotlight. It is forged in solitude, where excuses disappear and only discipline remains. One day, people will form an opinion about you whether you help them or not. Some will misunderstand your silence. Others will mistake your kindness for weakness or your confidence for arrogance. Let them. Their conclusions belong to them, not to you. The moment you stop trying to control the stories people tell about you is the moment you become free enough to write your own story instead. So stop asking whether the world understands you. Ask whether you understand yourself. Stop measuring your life by applause, approval, or attention. Measure it by the promises you keep when nobody is looking, the discipline you maintain when nobody is cheering, and the peace you refuse to trade for temporary validation. Because in the end, the strongest people are not remembered for what they said about themselves. They are remembered for the life that made explanations unnecessary. Now, imagine yourself 10 years from today. You are standing in front of the person you have become, and only one question remains. Did you spend your life reacting to the world, or did you spend it shaping your own character? That future version of you will not care how many arguments you won, how many people finally admitted you were right, or how often you defended your name. He will care only about the person those moments slowly turned you into. The Stoics believed that every day was a quiet vote for the kind of human being you were becoming. Every unnecessary reaction strengthened impatience. Every moment of restraint strengthened wisdom. Every complaint trained the mind to seek excuses, while every act of discipline trained it to seek responsibility. Character was never built through one heroic decision. It was built through thousands of invisible choices that no one else would ever notice. Perhaps the greatest victory in life is not achieving fame, wealth, or influence. It is reaching a point where your peace can no longer be purchased by praise or stolen by criticism. Imagine how different your life would feel if another person's opinion no longer had the power to decide your mood. Imagine waking each morning knowing that your confidence no longer depended on applause, agreement, or recognition. That is the freedom the Stoics spent their lives pursuing, and it remains just as rare today as it was 2,000 years ago. So from this day forward, stop asking the world for permission to become the person you were meant to be. Walk quietly. Build patiently. Let your discipline remain hidden while your character grows stronger in the silence that most people fear. There is no need to announce your transformation. The strongest oak in the forest never tells anyone it is growing. It simply keeps reaching deeper into the earth until one day its roots become impossible to uproot. And when that day finally arrives, you will understand the lesson that Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and every great Stoic tried to leave behind. The loudest person is rarely the strongest. The person who explains the most is rarely the wisest. True strength belongs to the one who has learned to master himself so completely that the world can no longer pull him away from his own purpose. That is the life of a Stoic. That is the power of silence. And that is the version of yourself that has been waiting for you all along. Before you leave, there is one final truth that deserves to stay with you. The world will continue rewarding noise because noise is easy to notice. It will continue celebrating people who speak before they think, react before they understand, and promise more than they can ever become. But history has never been shaped by the loudest voices, It has always been shaped by the few who mastered themselves, while everyone else was busy trying to master each other. If something in this video awakened a part of you that has been silent for far too long, do not let this become another moment of inspiration that disappears by tomorrow morning. Choose one lesson, practice one discipline, protect 1 hour of your day from unnecessary distractions. Great transformations never begin with dramatic changes. They begin with one quiet decision that is repeated until it becomes your nature. Years from now, people may never know the battles you fought inside your own mind. They will never see the temptations you resisted, the words you chose not to say, or the reactions you refused to give. They will simply notice a rare kind of presence about you, a calm confidence that cannot be shaken, a discipline that does not seek attention, and a peace that no amount of chaos can steal. They will call it strength, but you will know the truth. It was built in silence, one decision at a time. If this message spoke to you, write "Silence is strength" in the comments below. Not to prove anything to anyone else, but as a promise to yourself that from this day forward, your actions will become louder than your words. And if you want to continue mastering the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, subscribe to the channel and join us in the next journey. Until then, protect your mind, guard your peace, and remember, the strongest life is always the one that needs the fewest explanations.